word to wise. Grass only greener when it's fertilized. Gave them truth in these songs, they prefer to lies. Destiny beautiful, adrift in her purple light.
Before we get started, it only takes 2 clicks to become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers. Click. What's up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? I just want to let you know about a really awesome deal you can get at beautifulhalo.com, where you can pick up awesome Marvel Comics merch, DC Comics merch, really cool hoodies and designs. All you gotta do is go check out the link in the description and find out how you can get an awesome deal at Beautiful Halo. What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Ernie Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Powers of 10, number 3 by Jonathan Hickman and R.B. Silva. And man, I just got to go ahead and say it right now. I'm going to go ahead and put it out here today. I feel like every time that one of these books comes out, I feel like, it's always like, oh man, the last issue, man, Jonathan Hickman just my whole brain out, and it's just all over the floor right now. There is literally brain matter all over these walls. But by the time we get to the next issue, whether it's House of X or it's Powers of 10, I always feel like, man, he did it again. He found a way to get inside my brain and figure out a way to blow the mind of the Blerd without fear. That said, Powers of 10 is a storyline that typically focuses on different portions of the timeline across Hickman's new X-Men universe. But this time, instead of jumping around from point A to point B to point C to point D, this entire issue focuses on a single point, and that's year 100. In this video, we are going to talk about how the events of year 100 and this particular issue of Powers of 10 tie back to House of X number 2. And we're going to talk about that right now. So when we kick off Powers of 10 number 3, we already kind of knew from the last issue that Apocalypse and his Horsemen, which we now know these are officially his Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Yes, these are in fact his Horsemen, his hand-picked Horsemen, or more likely just the fact that they are the last surviving mutants in the Soul System, with Wolverine being War, which I know in some instances I think there was some rumor going around, and I even kind of talked about this a little bit on last week's episode of the Blerd Cave, which are every Saturday at 12 noon Central Standard Time, just throwing that out there. I kind of touched on the idea that the Wolverine that we see is not actually the original Wolverine, that it is in fact a chimera, but we now know definitively that is not the case. He is a pure-blood mutant and the actual Wolverine. We do also get confirmation Zorn is actually Zorn, not a chimera of some sorts, but is actually the original Zorn, as he is listed as a pure-blood mutant. And we also get hardcore confirmation that his Pestilence this time is a mutant by the name of North. This is not Magneto. This is a second-generation chimera who has the DNA of both Polaris, Magneto's daughter, and Emma Frost. We also get confirmation on something I kind of guessed at when we were talking about Powers of 10 number 2 in regards to Apocalypse's new edition of Famine. This is, in fact, what I said it was. Then, for those of you who added me in the comments, well, boo on you. Anyways, this is, in fact, a symbiotic relationship that is happening here between Krakoa and Cypher. So yes, that is Cypher's body, and Krakoa is theoretically piloting it in a very Groot-ish-like fashion. I wonder if it says, I am Cypher? Or is it more like an I am Krakoa type thing? I mean, I don't know. And of course, in this, we do see Silabelle and Percival, who are listed. They are grayed out because they are, in fact, very dead. But we also see Rasputin and Cardinal listed as well. And another mysterious mutant who we don't know who it is, but they are listed as Mother and as an Akaba mutant. And we'll talk more about that later. This book tiptoes back and forth between the perspectives of Apocalypse and his Horsemen and Nimrod and Omega Sentinel. You see, at this point, Omega Sentinel and Nimrod are trying to figure out exactly what the hell the mutants are up to. Nimrod, more specifically, because he is still baffled by what it is the mutants are after. He doesn't understand what it is they are seeking. The information that he has found, that he has been able to uncover about what the mutants are after, doesn't add up. None of it makes any sense, and he is racking his brain trying to figure out what it is. And we also, in this, learn a lot more about the human machine ascendancy. It's not what we originally thought it was. It doesn't seem so much as the humans were desperate enough to modify themselves to try and stave off their own extinction. It seems as though the machines were the ones that actually had a hand in this. It's not explicitly stated, but it seems very obvious that the machines were the ones that started this. Yes, the humans, they did create the machines, but much like in scenarios like The Matrix, or Terminator, or any other time that humans mess around with AI, it just so happens that the machines took over. This was not some kind of alliance. This wasn't any kind of a symbiosis. The machines did to them what the Phalanx are probably about to do to mutants in year 1000, which kind of goes back to that whole cycle. There's a vicious cycle that just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning, and Hickman is just weaving it really well, and I like what he's doing here, because we even get a little bit of evidence in this that there is some kind of zealot, some kind of religious zealot who worships the machines and even uses a machine to modify a baby. It's just really weird. The baby is screaming and crying and hollering, and this zealot, this religious wingnut, is literally just sitting here pontificating about how you have to turn yourself over to the machines, and is equating the worship of machines as it being better to serve in heaven than to rule in hell. And it's just weird. But fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on whether or not you're that baby, Apocalypse's mutants show up. Rasputin, Cardinal, Zorn, and North. And when they pull up, they start unleashing unholy hell. And we even learn a little bit of something while this is happening, that the mutants aren't rebelling against the humans. They're rebelling against the machines. We see a lot of this happen as Omega Sentinel is even going back and talking about how the mutants are always trying to save the humans, no matter what. Even though the gap, the bridge between them has come so far, has become so wide, that they'll never be able to see a common ground again. But for some reason, the mutants keep trying to save them. And we even learned that Apocalypse's Horsemen and his other mutants, some of them have done something to themselves to modify their behavior, because you gotta remember that Cardinal is not necessarily an aggressive mutant. He's a passive mutant. It was one of the genetic design flaws in Mr. Sinister's Chimera program with his generation. He's a pacifist. He doesn't like violence, but he mentioned something that is very telling about the type of mission that they are on. He talks about having eaten one of Apocalypse's terminal apocalypse seeds to overcome his genetic predisposition to non-violence. And this is a big deal, because this lets you know that this is serious. This lets you know that he is ready to lay down his life in an effort to save the people he wants to save and stop the machines. And while Omega Sentinel seems more concerned with trying to stop the mutants just dead in their tracks, Nimrod is still more concerned with trying to figure out what it is they're up to. And while Omega Sentinel wants to go get in on some of this action, Nimrod, he can't be arsed. And this is something I think is a very good commentary on Nimrod, is that he is so single-minded, that he is so focused on the thing that he deems is more important at the time. He's this very complex artificial intelligence. He is literally cutting edge, but at the same time, even he can fall prey to human weakness, having tunnel vision the way humans do. And when Omega Sentinel pulls up with a few pipe-hitting sentinels behind her, and when they pull up, they immediately annihilate North. Not only have they annihilated North, but we later find out that they've taken out Cardinal as well, leaving only Rasputin and Zorn, who is already mortally wounded. But at this particular point, Omega Sentinel is ready to go ahead and take them out anyway, because as far as she's concerned, they have been nothing more than an inconvenience that needs to be stamped out. But Rasputin has an ace in the hole, trying to buy a little bit more time. She warns Omega Sentinel that Zorn, if he releases his mask, he will unleash a singularity that would devastate them all. But Omega Sentinel ain't buying it, because as far as she's concerned, she knows what the mutants are really about. She knows that they're too busy trying to save humanity, trying to save the world, trying to preserve their life. Rasputin is not going to piss all that away on a bluff. But that's the funny thing about Rasputin. She is a warrior. That is what her generation of Chimera are all about. They are all about the end game. They are all about the fight and doing whatever it takes to win. And that is something Omega Sentinel, in all her infinite wisdom, does not understand about these mutants. They are not fighting for now. They're fighting for the future. And while Omega Sentinel can think all day that Rasputin doesn't really know what a singularity really can do, Rasputin proves that she's right. She doesn't know, but she's more than willing to find out, unleashing that singularity and devastating them all. You see, this was all an act to buy some time, because this wasn't the main goal. This was simply a distraction. And this is what Nimrod was so concerned about. What are the mutants really up to? What Apocalypse has done is he has taken two of his horsemen, Wolverine and Krakoa Cypher, and they have ninja'd their way into the human-machine ascendancy, finding their data stores with countless rows of information collected, data collected from countless mutants throughout the years. And no sooner than Cypher is about to collect some of said data, that is when Nimrod finally realizes a game is the foot. But it's too late. They've already gotten the data that they needed in the form of some sort of crystal. And now that they've got what they need, it's time to get the hell out of Dodge. But no sooner than they can try to escape, Nimrod has already arrived and he flash fries Wolverine. Nimrod knew something was up. He just knew that there was some loose thread that he couldn't put his finger on, but he knew that it was there. And he had to pursue this thread to completion, otherwise it probably would have driven him even more insane than he already is. But fortunately for him, he figured out what it was. And he has come to collect. The thing is that now that they have what they want, they don't have to stay and fight Nimrod. They literally have a gateway to get out. Since Cypher and Krakoa are now one under the new form of famine, they can now create portals that lead to anywhere they want to go. And while Wolverine wants to sacrifice himself so that Apocalypse can complete the mission, Apocalypse has other designs. He wants Wolverine to be the one to make it out alive. Apocalypse decides to make the ultimate sacrifice by staying behind and holding the line so that everyone else can get home. Nani? 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 And this is a moment that just blew my mind, because I mean, Apocalypse literally sits here as Nimrod has essentially replicated himself into three separate entities and is beating the brakes off Apocalypse. And I think something that's even more telling is the fact that Wolverine feels bad about leaving Apocalypse. This should tell you how much has happened in Hickman's run. By the time you get to year 100, all these things have happened that have basically made Wolverine feel genuine sadness for having to leave Apocalypse behind, and what it took for Apocalypse to become this person who would selflessly sacrifice himself for the cause. This is not Apocalypse. Apocalypse has really never been that type of person. Apocalypse was always more willing to sacrifice a pawn than to lay himself down for one. He literally takes everything that Nimrod has to throw at him, and Nimrod is literally throwing everything at him, including the kitchen sink. And I gotta admit, there are some lines of dialogue here that I think are just so expertly written, just the dialogue between Nimrod and Apocalypse. And though Apocalypse's dialogue we never really get to see except for, towards the end of the book, it's actually kind of just stated in the front and back of the book, as some dialogue is in this run so far of House of X and Powers of 10, but I love it. I mean, I got it right here. I'm going to read it off. It is Nimrod literally tells Apocalypse that, Apocalypse, the mutant immortal, older than the world, the fittest of all, how sad this must be to know that natural selection has brought you here. And what he means by bringing you here is bringing Apocalypse to his end. Apocalypse's response, he simply replies that I'm immortal and I have no end and should forever end let me die in battle, surrounded by my fallen enemies, with blood on my sword. Shit is too wild. But the reason why Apocalypse has done this, the reason why Apocalypse was willing to sacrifice himself, was for Mother. And Mother is not just anyone. Mother is Mora X. Year 100 that we have been following in Powers of 10 is Mora's 9th life. And Wolverine has brought the data crystal back to her and infused it in her body to give her the memories that she needed. Apocalypse knew that all of this was going to go up real fast, so he has created a way for Mora to absorb this data crystal and get everything she needs back. And another reason why Apocalypse wanted Wolverine to go instead of himself is because Wolverine had more than just that mission. It was also Wolverine's task to send Mora to the next life. Because I'm pretty sure, much in the same way that she told Charles and Magneto in her 10th life the lowdown about everything, I'm pretty sure she told Apocalypse everything she had experienced up to that point. What the information is in that data crystal at year 123, Mora dies after receiving Nimrod origin files. And I'm pretty sure this is going to pay dividends when the X-Men make their assault on Mother Mold coming up here very soon, because you also got to remember that they are worried that Nimrod is going to be built, that this is the machine that is going to create the Nimrod that is going to make their lives miserable for the next 100 some odd years. And if they're already thinking it might be a possibility, there's an even stronger possibility that Nimrod is already made. And if those plans are in there, they are really going to need them when it comes time for Cyclops and the gang to pull up on Mother Mold. But anyways, I love this issue. This issue is so good, and I even love the little touches that are just in there in places. It's just great. It's just great. I even love the part where Wolverine just seems so conflicted about what he's about to do, that he has to kill Mora McTaggart. But she is resolved. She knows that this is what must be done, and she even says, "This is what you do." Kind of a throwback to, Wolverine's old catchphrase that I'm the best there is at what I do, and what I do ain't very nice. It's one of those, this is just really cool stuff. It's really good writing. That is everything of importance in Powers of 10 number 3. I'm going to tell you right now, whew, man, it has been a doozy. We are about to get back into some real hardcore. But anyways, let me know what you thought about Powers of 10 number 3 by Jonathan Hickman and RB Silva. Sound off in the comments. So hey, you made it to the end of the video. Awesome for you. If you enjoyed this video, and if you made it this far, I don't see how you didn't, do me a favor. Hulk smash that like button. And if you want to see more awesome videos like this one, make sure you click subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers, and tap that bell so you know when I post up. Also, feel free to go check out my Patreon, where if you chuck in $1, you can get early access to most of my videos up to a week early. And if you have time, make sure you swing by nerd901.com, where you can find more of my content as well as other amazing stuff. Anyways, until next time, I love you 3000 plus ultra.